Hey guys, happy Monday morning. I am just trying to make sure we're all straight here. Hope you guys had a great Easter weekend if you celebrate Easter, or just an awesome, beautiful Sunday. I know it was absolutely gorgeous here. We got to be outside all day. It was fabulous, and I can't wait for summer. Um, and today we are going to talk about, are you an empath? That's something that I know I didn't even know what that meant, and how to deal with energy vampires. And so, if you don't know what an empath is, I'll give you a few kind of points here that will kind of, I'm going to slide away on Instagram. Sorry, guys, just a sec. I'll give you a few kind of ideas of what an empath is. If you have these characteristics, chances are you do have a lot of empathy within you. And I think a lot of us have empathy, and a lot of us could use some more empathy in our lives. But I think when we are quite empathic, that it can be quite overwhelming. So then we're going to talk about energy vampires at the end of this here. So first, if you are an empath, you are kind of a helper and a fixer, and people will often come to you to share what's going on in their lives. And usually it's pretty heavy stuff. So before I really knew what an empath was, I just knew that I kind of had, it was kind of weird how people would just approach me and share very intimate details of maybe too much information, some might say. Sometimes it would be heavy, but it wouldn't really bother me. But I know my husband would be like, why did they just tell you that? I was like, I don't know. They wanted my input on it. I have no idea. And so I've always been that person. Looking back with lots of friends that would just share lots with me. And I've always looked at it as a great thing. Like, they trust me and they want to know what I'm thinking. And I just kind of assumed that was like that with everybody. I probably started to notice it more when I had strangers on the street coming up to me and sharing their whole life journey or something that was going on in their life. And so I want you to be aware that sometimes we do have a hard time detaching from people that need you. So this is more for family and friends. I would often carry this stuff with me, and it would kind of bring my energy down, and I would feel kind of crappy, like I didn't know how to help them, or I was like, okay, I gotta fix this. So if you're a problem solver or a fixer or really solution based that way when it comes to feelings, chances are you're a little bit of an empath too. And you're often a really good judge of character. And I have a couple of friends that are always like, what did you think of that person? Hey, Bona, how's it going? What did you think of that person? Or what's your feel on that? Or I used to always just keep it inside. And now I'll share it with closer people, family and friends. Like, you can just kind of get a feel when people aren't being truthful. And now that I've kind of embraced being an empath more so, now I can see that it's like, I can kind of see where they're coming from. When it's like an anger or something hurtful that's going on, I can see where they're coming from in the hurt side of it, because anger always comes from hurt at some point in their lives, right? And so it often comes out as anger. And I notice this even with my kids, and you probably do too. We're often really affected by other people's moods. So for example, if you say you walk into a friend's house, you can immediately kind of feel what's going on in that house. Like, nothing has to be said necessarily, or sometimes things are said. Like, I'll have, people that are like being super happy to my face, but I'm like, ooh, there's something going on in here. Like, what's going on? And then, after you've had coffee for an hour, you're like, oh, there's so much going on in your life, but you could feel that right away. That's definitely signs of an empath. Empaths really need alone time. They do well with alone time because they feel quite drained when they're in public spaces. I know for me, when I would go to the city, I would be like, oh, why am I so tired? And you can literally take on energy from all around with other people. And you often hear what people aren't saying out loud. And so that kind of goes back to that, walking into the room, or even if you walk in somewhere and the table beside you, say at a restaurant, is really upbeat, and really great things are going on. Empath doesn't always have to be negative. You can just like feel the excitement and you're like, oh, what's going on over there? I want to like check in and see what's going up just so that I can get some of that happiness over here too. Empaths are often super sensitive. So books or movies, you will cry quite easily through. What is a couple of others? You get drained by negative people. Like if you have negative people that are in your life, which will go into this energy vampires here. It is what I call energy vampires. I can't remember where I heard it from first. I've heard it from a few places, but it's so true. Energy vampires are people that when you're with them, you just like feel like literally like they're not sucking your blood out, but they're taking the energy right out of you. And it's like, oh, I felt good before I came here. And so you want to be aware of energy vampires. You can't always not be around them because sometimes it can even be a spouse. Sometimes it can even be a child, a sister or brother, like somebody that's really close in your family that you're not able to cut ties with completely. So you want to be aware of that they are sucking your energy and just kind of like take note after. Some people will call this toxic people too. But those are still people that we love often, right? So we have to deal with that as well. And so you really want to get to know yourself and know when that's starting to happen to you, become aware of when the energy is kind of leaving out of your body. And the more you practice this and become aware of it, the more you will notice it for sure. And you need to know when you need to decompress because you need that time for yourself so that you can be a better friend or spouse or mom or sister, friend, whatever that is. You need to set boundaries because you need to learn. I wrote notes down here, so if you see me looking, it's because I wanted to make sure I covered certain topics. You need to learn how to not hold on to everyone else's emotions. And this was a biggie for me because I tended to want to be a problem fixer or, I felt like you were trusting me with telling me something that was so dear to your heart or so hard for you that I should be able to fix this for you. And that's not always true. Sometimes we just need to hold space for them and, let them get that out. But at the same time, you don't want that to be what's running your whole day. With energy vampires, sometimes that can overtake your whole life and you don't want that. You really want that to be able to be that person for them, but you also want to be able to be that person for yourself, if you want to look at it that way. Because this is not their hardships, they're not yours to hold. You can hold the space for them and love on them. And, like maybe you have some insights that would help them. Maybe you don't, but maybe all they need is somebody to hear what's going on in their life and just be supportive to them no matter what, without any judgments. I literally, this is going to sound a little wacky to some of you, but I've started doing this in the last year and it's really helped me. I literally, if I know I'm going into like a really thick energy vampire type of situation, like if something's going to be sad or it's people that I know can be a little bit draining to me at times, I literally in the morning or in the car before I'm getting there will picture like this bubble around myself, like this big bubble. And I am like this bright light inside of this bubble because I do feel like I'm a bright light most days. And I want to continue to be a bright light and be around people. And I found I was really pulling away from people because I didn't, even though I felt like I was a bright light, I didn't feel like I was really helping other people because I was feeling pretty down about myself. And I was just carrying on too much of other people's stuff. And I can only carry my own stuff, right? So I literally picture this big bubble around myself. I'm the bright light inside, full of love, all the love I have for you in the world, and especially when it's people that are super close to you. And you can't come into my bubble. This is my bubble right here. No coming into my bubble. And it helps so much. I know it sounds really wonky, but when you're really intentional about it, of like, no, I am who I am. I'm living in integrity with myself, which I think I've mentioned before, but if I haven't, do think about if you're living in integrity with yourself and not just what other people think. Okay, so lots of us have integrity as a value, but not all of us live with integrity with ourselves. That's a huge thing. Another thing that I do is I love rose quartz, which is kind of a pinky stone, and it's unconditional love. And it's unconditional love for yourself and other people. And so I literally sometimes will just like, I have quite a few of these around the house. The kids play with them too. And so that's a good one to keep around if you're into crystals. And the other one is black tourmaline. I don't know if you can see it. And black tourmaline is just a protector. And it just kind of helps guard you from outside energies that you don't want. And so I literally will keep these. You could probably check all my jeans in my closet right now. And when I pick out my own crystals and stones, if you don't do that, haven't done that before, I grab ones that I can rub my fingers with. So I always like when they have like, this one has a little curve in it. So I keep it in my pocket, and I will just like, if you see my hands in my pocket, it's not always black tourmaline, but sometimes it'll be rose quartz, or like I have lots of other ones too. But then I'm just like rubbing them in my pocket to be intentional with staying present within the moment. And just like, if it is black tourmaline, just like, no, I am a bubble. I'm a bubble. I'm not going to take on this negative stuff. I'm here for you, but this is yours to carry. I'm going to keep it for myself. Salt baths is another big one, Epsom salts. And it's said to just kind of like detoxify all of that stuff. I have the most amazing tub in my new house. It's like, I think it's considered a 2-person tub. It's the corner tub. And I was so excited when we moved in here that I was going to use it all the time with my Epsom salts. But we don't have a big enough hot water tank, so I literally have to run the kettle. So I don't practice salt baths as much as I used to. But I do know a lot of people that use it and love it. Or even if you're just in the shower, just like think of yourself like you're just washing off negative energies, and it's only happiness allowed in this body. And I want you to really be intentional about releasing as well, okay? So often I will catch myself in that funk because I want to help people feel better, right? And so lots of people do come to me often to, talk about something that's a little bit heavy. And so afterwards, I literally, like when that conversation is over, or if I like catch myself later in the day kind of thinking about it and that it's quite heavy on my heart, I literally tell myself, I release everything here that doesn't serve me. Because when we're intentional about letting that stuff go, then you just start to feel better. And like sometimes you have to say to yourself multiple times, I know this is something that's more of a regular practice for me, so I don't have to stop and do it. But for the first little while, like I would do meditations to just be like, just even a 3-minute meditation to just be like, I release everything that doesn't serve me, and do your deep breathing in through your nose, out through your mouth. There's studies shown that like if you breathe in for 6, I think it's hold for 8, and then breathe out for 8. Will make big differences. Don't worry about it if it's the perfect second, but just like really breathe in, hold for a second, and tell yourself, I release everything that doesn't serve me, and then deep breath out and empty that all the way out from your belly, okay? The last thing I wanted to touch on quick here, have I really been on here for that long already? Wow. Sorry guys, is apparently I'm really chatty today. That I have a couple of spots still left open in the Own Your Happy program that I'm starting tomorrow night, and I'm so freaking excited. That wasn't a swear word. If that sounded like a swear word, I hope it didn't. So excited to just love on these women and teach them how to believe in themselves and let things go. And we'll discuss stuff like this, but we'll really get like down deep into what is the root of what's going on in your life. And there was this quote I read yesterday, and I was going to bring it over here and I forgot. But basically it was, positive thinking is superficial. We can tell ourselves to think positive thoughts all the time, but if we're not getting to the root of what the internal and external world look like, positive thinking is just a band-aid. We're not healing that wound that's underneath. And I'm not saying that I want to like live in that wound by any means, because I don't believe in that either. Wounds are meant to heal, but sometimes you have to figure out why that wound is there for it to fully heal, so that we're not just using positive thinking as a band-aid. So anyway, go have a great week, guys. I will see you again next Monday. Well, I'll see you before then, but I won't go live till then.